So what's my elevator pitch in 3 minutes or less? Like, what exactly am I trying to do for you? In terms of this service that I'm offering called Tonal Silence. And so basically it's a method of learning how to read into water so you can learn how to breathe into water. This teaching is intellectual, as in like there's information to it, but like learning how to read these things, you are learning a conceptual framework that's very similar to reading a book about molecular biology or a book about yoga or a book about like weightlifting, exercise science. It's a book of method and techniques, and like it helps you the same way that reading those books helps you. Except this set of methods and techniques is about breathing into water. And so the same way that you can read, I don't know, like the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the National Electric Code or something else, you can read those books and you can get a conceptual understanding of the ultimate state, like the state of being within which like a yogi could learn how to float from, you know, a side effect of realizing their oneness with everything, or that a Christian could enter into pure prayer, or, you know, to genuinely relate with God, stuff like that. Like you can learn about the idea of these things, like as a kid, as an animal being born, you know, you don't really have an idea of those things. So being given an idea of those things, like reading that stuff, does open up this realm of potentiality, but it's like obviously different from actually doing it. So with this initiation, like I can do it conceptually over the phone or physically. It's like learning it is like learning jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like there's so many moves, there's so many techniques, or whatever, that they only work in relationship, and the only way that you can learn them and know them is to do them. And so there's different ways of like breathing into water that you can be shown, like a vocabulary, like breathing into ocean water, breathing into the stillness of the tank, breathing into your own body, breathing into other people's bodies, breathing into a stream, breathing into noise, like all these things accumulate like a vocabulary. And you'll see that these different types of breath into water are very analogous to other concepts you may have learned in other systems. And so that is kind of what I'm doing. And I don't see anybody out there doing anything remotely similar to it. Like it should be like very, very quickly, within a matter of weeks to months, you would be initiated into the mystery of the mind-body connection, at least to the same depth that somebody would need to be in order to like float, enrapture, whatever, have several other of those cities that people talk about. You know, maybe not instantly happening, but, you know, at very least to the equivalent of like you having read a book and understood it very deeply, to the degree that you were able to engage in what you knew to be like perfect practice, like you were doing it correctly, going in the right direction. And then all of that comes out of like water. So like I'm not necessarily teaching you, but I'm saying like, hey, get this vocabulary from the water. Okay, now get this word from the water, get this type of breath from the water. And that's really all I'm doing. And so it's fundamentally yeah, I think it's a baptism into a deeper state of being. I think this experience of how we breathe into water lies underneath any of the words that we have about how we are breathing into water, which I've unpacked as perception and metabolism and electrons moving and ion transports opening and action potentials and all that. And that can be unpacked, but ultimately it's all about how we're breathing into water. So with the techniques that I've developed, some of them are completely unique to me, some of them are very popular. Right, like an ice bath is perfectly like universal technique, so I have a couple of techniques that are universal and exclusive to me concerning like breathing underwater. Especially through long nasal snorkel. Which does not exist, I don't think, outside of the one that I have publicly. Like, I think it's an incredibly advanced technology. It wouldn't surprise me if something like this is used in secret, but in terms of public, like only one out there. I went over 6 minutes. That's not bad. It's a long elevator. Buildings are getting taller. Imagine an elevator speech within which the person is trapped and subject to listen to your thoughts with no chance of leaving. Like, it was their choice to get on the elevator, right? But then they gave up and they had to listen to it on the whole ride. So you can experience periods where you lack free will because of choices that you made to get on a particular elevator with a particular person. So like when people are trying to prove if people have free will or not, it really depends on which elevators they've gotten on. And then people think that everybody's in the same elevator.